Okay, I want to talk to y'all about the commercial Barack Obama did about getting Obamacare. You must understand that I have, on several occasions, and I do mean 4, 5, 6 occasions, been confronted by demonic entities through human host bodies. The number one way I can tell it's going to happen is that the person will point their finger at me and wink their eye and stick their tongue out of their mouth. I have the gift of discerning of spirits. It's in 1 Corinthians 12. It's a supernatural gift. I've put testimonies on YouTube where I've used the witnesses that watched the unraveling of the situation, where I literally confronted a demonic entity in public because of that manifestation of pointing the finger, winking the eye, and sticking out the tongue. I am telling you, Barack Obama right now has proven, absolutely proven, that he is being manipulated by that same demonic spirit, that demonic spirit is in charge of him. And when he sticks out his tongue, he's mocking the dead sheep. When he winks his eye, he's mocking the dead sheep. Isaiah 57 states it very clearly. Against whom do you make sport? Whom are you mocking? And opening wide your mouth and sticking out your tongue. Because it's a manifestation of the dead sheep that the tongue comes out of the mouth. We're going to attach to this introduction the video that I did with Chris from Starbucks, the manager that watched as one of these situations unfolded in Starbucks, where this young man did exactly that. He stuck out his tongue, he pointed his finger, and he winked his eye at me. And I told Chris, the manager of Starbucks, I said, see that kid right there? He's going to offer to draw a picture of me. And when he draws the picture, he's going to put an image of a dead sheep on the picture of my face that he draws. Chris thought it was absolutely the craziest thing he'd ever heard anyone say. As a matter of fact, it turned out to be exactly right. That same guy, Alex, drew a picture of me. And on the picture he drew of me, he put an image of a dead sheep. Barack Obama just did exactly all the same stuff. So he is manifesting a demonic entity that wants to kill all sheep. End of story. I don't care what anybody on planet Earth thinks. This is a guaranteed. This is absolute, written in stone, spiritual gift. If you don't believe it, you can go up against the one that gave me this gift. Just go look at all the videos the Lord's let me do. This is a guarantee. Death is coming. Make your peace with God, guys. Just make your peace with God now. Just come to the cross. That's all I'm asking you to do. Come to the cross and be reconciled to God through Jesus Christ. Time is coming, guys. Get ready.
The deadline for signing up for health insurance is February.
Not like any other Wednesday.
That's not right.
Wednesday.
February 15th. February 15th. In many cases, you can get health insurance for less than $100 a month. Just go to healthcare.gov to figure out how to sign up. February 15th.
Oh. Thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Obama. It's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Seconds left. shit. Down by 1. Brrr, he gets it. Mr. President?
Can I live?
You do you.
YOLO, man. All right.
I want to give you guys a little bit of a visual. Chris is going to give his testimony because we got to connect some dots for you guys. So we're going to go in Starbucks and I'm just going to give you a little example of what happened. Clay's just going to kind of film the counter so I can show you where Chris was. That way Chris can comment on it. We'll edit it all together and then I'll show you the table where I sat down with this kid that drew this picture of me with the dead sheep on my head. It's the 4th time this has happened. And it's just the strangest anomaly. It's one of the strangest anomalies ever, but it's consistent with the hieroglyph of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. And that's what's so interesting about it. And we'll get Chris's testimony on this and we'll match it to my testimony and we'll see how close it is. So I told Chris, I said, I'll bet you $1 million that guy down there offers to draw a picture of me, and when he does, he puts an image of a dead sheep on my face. And Chris just looked at me like, what are you on? A week and a half later, I walked in this door, and the same kid who was back behind the counter there, he said, hey John, I drew a picture of you. And I looked at this and I said, hey Chris, you drew a picture of me, dude. And we're going to show you that picture and we're going to show you what's on it.
Tell me what's happening here.
Well, my sources are no longer fully annotated and my information is somewhat anecdotal. But I believe what was once one race is now 2.
These 2 buildings called the Twin Towers. Y'all should know by now that they were a representation of the wheat and the weeds. The 2 different races that were growing alongside each other, the wheat and the weeds, or the sheep and the goats.
Is now 2. One above and one below. 2 distinct species that have evolved.
And how do those below survive?
That is the real question, isn't it?
They mock us. Okay, here's the sheep's eye right here, closed because the sheep is dead. Here's water leaking out of the eye, the liquid going out, flowing out of the eye to a teardrop. Here's the top of the sheep's head. There's the ear going out. Here's the nose, the nostril on one side, and here's the other nostril. Here's the sheep's open mouth, and there's the sheep. And then these lines right here, he used these for the back of my neck, but it also, look, the line goes directly to a nostril, so it's fluid coming out of the nostril of the dead sheep. There it is. After this kid has drawn this picture of me and I showed it to Chris, and I showed Chris the sheep, right? Then this kid went on break, and I said, hey, Alex, you got a minute? And so we sat down at the table like this, and here's what he said. Here's how he's acting. He's going like this, yeah, John, what's up? Yeah. And I said, hey, Alex, have you ever seen any of my videos on YouTube? He's like, no, John, no. And I went, have you ever seen my website? So do you know what I do? He's like, no, John, what? And I said, well, I've seen a variety of reactions because this is not the first time I've seen this, but I'd like to ask you a question. He goes, yeah, John, yeah, what's up? And I said, well, and I pulled out the picture he drew. Why did you draw a dead sheep on my face? And he went, from yeah, John, he went like this, do you know who you're speaking with? And I just looked at him and I went, yeah, I think I know who I'm speaking with. And I went, hold that thought. My kid was next door getting his hair cut. I said, hold that thought. I jumped up and I ran next door. And I came back because I wanted to make sure my kid was going to be over there. And I came back and I sat down, and he was like this. And he had taken my cup and he was sitting there going like this. And Chris had come out from behind the counter and was standing here watching him draw the all-seeing eye on my cup. And when I scanned him and I looked at it, I said, yeah, I know who I'm speaking with. I said, do you know who you're speaking with? And he went just like this, he went like this. He went, yeah. And I went, so you know I'm a messenger, right? And he goes,
Yeah. And I said, do you know what the message is? And he goes, yeah. Very bereaved, very sullen, very, melancholy. He just went, yeah. And I went, your time is up. And he went, and he looked at a pen that was on the table, and he went, and he grabbed the pen like this, and I went like this. He got back from the table because I thought the pen was going to go in the side of my neck. And I saw it coming because he had this anger in his face. So I leaned back, and I was like, oh. And he grabs the pen, he grabs his finger, and he starts drawing this picture, and we're going to show it to you. And he did it before the Kobe Bryant ad came out. Kobe Bryant's tennis shoes. Guess what? It's basically identical to Kobe Bryant's ad with this shark coming out of half this image. You'll see.
Another thing he drew after I confronted him. Why did you draw this dead sheep on me? He grabbed a pen on a table and he drew this image extremely fast, just like this, super fast. He just drew it. And he wrote, shield my eyes from the sun, for I cannot see what lies before me.
So this is the way it happened. This is one time this has happened to me. I've been in 4 incidents, and they're always the same. The second you call the person out that drew the picture, they turn into a growling beast or demonically possessed. Every single time. 4 times it's happened to me. 4 times. And we'll show you the pictures. We'll show you the imagery. That's it. We're going to put Chris's testimony in here.
Okay guys, here we go. Chris used to do camera, and Chris used to do a lot of the videos with me. The point of Chris's testimony is, so we have a witness, or I'm going to use Chris as a witness. That way you don't have to believe me. You can believe his testimony and see if it matches what I told you. And then here's the other thing. Before we did this, we agreed I wasn't going to walk him through what happened, that he was just going to give his own account. And then we'll see how those accounts line up, and then we may do some back and forth on, particular images that are actually up here on the wall and refer to those images. So,
hey everybody, it's been a while. All right, so this was a few years ago. I'm glad we have the date up here because I can remember.
Yeah,
but
11/25.
Yeah, so the event that I'm gonna just share my perspective, what I saw, and what I experienced from my vantage point on November 25th of 2011. But I have to back up a little bit before that. So the event that we're talking about is on November 25th, 2011. I'd say, I don't know, by then Johnny and I had been hanging out quite a bit, and we were friends and doing a lot of stuff together. Probably a few, I don't know, it could be weeks or it could be even
about a week and a half, maybe.
Yeah, it was a while because I remember thinking the event, but I'll get to that. I don't want to jump ahead. I don't remember exactly the time frame, but there was a point when Jonathan had come in to where this was. And by the way, to where I work, so I'm going to leave that out for liability reasons, but it's my place of employment. And he came in, and that's actually where we met. And a lot of you already know what it is, but for this case, I got to just try to be safe. So he'd come in and said, one of my coworkers, he pointed him out to me and said, that guy right there is going to draw a picture of me. I guarantee you. I'll bet you $1 million. Those are Johnny's words. I bet you $1 million he's going to draw a picture of me. And what a weird statement. But I've been around, by then I've been with Johnny so much, just to, who knows, never take anything like, don't disbelieve anything at that point. So
did I mention what was going to be on the picture?
I don't remember exactly if you mentioned what would be on it, but you did. Clearly what stuck out was like,
dead sheep on my face.
Well, that he's going to draw a picture of me. And by then I'd known I'd heard the stories about Johnny. He had told me by then the other individuals in his past who had drawn images of, drawn his picture or made carvings of him or whatnot, and it would have those images on it. So whether he said it or not, I don't know, but that's where my mind went, because why would Johnny mention it? So anyway, that was stated. Could have been a week, could have been 2 weeks, could have been a month. I don't remember exactly. But then November 25th comes about, and I'm working, and Johnny comes in, and the person that were the person involved that were this is all about was working as well. And at that time, I was a shift manager, so I was overseeing the operations of this place. Very busy, very public food service business. And I'd sent this guy, the guy that Johnny said would draw a picture of him on break. Before I sent him on break, though, Johnny had come in. He'd come in with his son, and he was getting his normal order. And he put it through, and the individual reached over sort of from where he was to stop Johnny and say, "Hey man, I'm gonna draw." He said something like,
drew a picture.
"Yeah, I drew a picture, or I'm gonna draw a picture of you." And I wasn't that close to it, but I was close enough to hear that, and immediately I thought, whoa, that's random and weird, because I thought back to that point when Johnny had said, "I bet you $1 million the guy's gonna draw a picture of me." And I just thought, okay, this is crazy. But I'm still working, and I sent him on break, and the individual actually goes and sits down with Johnny after drawing a picture of Johnny.
Would this be the picture?
That would be the one. He drew it on Johnny's receipt. Johnny had the receipt from his order, and then all of a sudden, if anyone can see real quick, all of a sudden I see my employee, he's there, and I don't know, I just know, I'm like, okay, he's drawing something, and obviously it's probably going to be an image of Johnny. And he goes on break and sits down with Johnny, and he goes, "Hey Johnny," and he shows him. And I am, where they're on break, I'm still working. Okay, since he's on break, I'm having to cover his position. And so I'm behind the counter of this business, and they are in the front of the place. It's a food service. I'll just say the restaurant, front of the restaurant, sitting at a table, and they're a good 10 feet away. I can't really overhear what they're saying, but I do know what's running through my head is like, "You drew the picture. Oh my gosh!" And I know Johnny's immediately going to be able to see everything. And so evidently Johnny did. Johnny actually showed me the image briefly. I didn't have much time to really look at it because I'm working, and he showed me the sheep. Like, Johnny immediately picked it up, and he showed me the sheep right here.
Yeah.
You can see with his tongue sticking out. I mean, he immediately made me exactly what Johnny did that quick, and I'm like, oh, my jaw hits the floor, because I'm like, all right, it's here. I wonder what's going to happen now, because Johnny's going to confront him about it. And Johnny did, and I can't really overhear what they're saying, but I am witnessing the body language. And Johnny's just like, "Hey, let me show you. Did you know that you did the?" You know, I can kind of tell what he's saying, and the body language and demeanor of the individual who drew that, he's kind of like, and had this change, and he goes from the relaxed, and he kind of tenses up, and I see that, and I'm like, okay, this is, because at this point I'm managing. Yeah, I'm like, this is, because it's in the middle of a very busy time, and I'm just thinking, I don't need a scene right now with that. I'm glad it's coming up. I'm not afraid about the situation coming up. I just, for the sake of everyone else and my job, let's try and not have...
Let's contain it.
Yeah, let's contain it and not have this huge manifestation in the middle of this restaurant. So, I see his body language tense up. He goes from a very relaxed, chummy, to a very tense individual. At that point, business had slowed enough to where I could walk around, and I walked around, and I wanted to go see, because I wanted to be there in case there was anything that was going to happen. Wanted to be able to like do something, break it up if I had to, or you know, pull them apart or whatever may happen. Because I've seen this. I've been in the ministry, I've had years. I've witnessed things like this before. And that didn't concern me so much as the peace of mind of everyone else that was there, who was there just to get their product of choice and not experience some, demonic jumping out around and going crazy on them. So anyway, these are what the thoughts that are going through my head. And I don't know really what the conversation is. All I know is obviously he showed him what was there. He told him, he confronted him about it. And my employee went from a very jolly, jovial self, and he really is, to a very tense, almost angry, intense, almost like rage on his face. There was anger and it was peaking. It was almost to like this
confrontational point.
It was boiling, and so I could tell that. And I walk over. When I walk over, like I'm ready to overhear what happened. And at that point, Johnny got up. He said, "I gotta go. I'll be right back." And Johnny steps up. So I'm like, "What just happened?"
I had to go check on Trent and get his haircut.
But I didn't know that. So Johnny gets up, but he leaves his drink. Okay, he leaves his drink on the table where they're sitting. And now I'm with the young man, and I'm looking at the young man, and I'm not really saying anything because I'm just watching. I want to know what's going to happen. I don't know how he's feeling. I don't know what thoughts are going through him. I don't even know if he's present, if he's cognizant of anything. So I'm watching him, and before I can say anything, he grabs the cup and starts doodling something on top of it. And at that point, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? But I look back, and I have to go back and start working. So I step back around, and I have to go back behind the counter and start doing my thing while he's on break and while he's manifesting and going crazy. So I'm there, and Johnny then comes back within a few minutes, and I had enough time to see what the person drew on the cup. And what he drew on the cup, my jaw just, literally, I hit the floor. I was speechless at that point. I just thought, holy crap, this is pretty serious. This is evident, and there's no way that this young man would have, there's never been discussions about it with him pertaining to the image that he drew.
He wouldn't happen to have that.
Yeah, and there was like something in the eyes too, but he drew it like in the dead center of the cup. If you think of a cup lid, he drew it dead center perfectly. He drew an eye like that. Why would, in the conversation of showing Johnny, or Johnny showing him like, hey, you did this, did you know that? Why would it go from that to this? Yeah. Right? So these are thoughts that I'm thinking, that I'm realizing like, well, something is really happening. I gotta make sure it doesn't go, we go to DEFCON 5. When Johnny comes back, he sees the cup and he's like, I can tell like at that point Johnny too is a little speechless, but he knew what to say. I didn't overhear anything. And then next thing I know, they have some discussion, and then I see the young man again grab the receipt that he drew that on, and then start doodling again. And I'm like, whoa, what is going on? And it's really angry and agitated. It wasn't the same in the same manner that he drew Johnny's face. Now it's like there's some intense purpose in what he's doing, and I'm watching this, and he's well past his break time, but I'm like, let this play out for a while until I can figure out what's going on. And at that point, he hands it to Johnny. I don't know what they're saying. Because like I said, from my vantage point, I'm just...
That's what he drew though, right? In a enlarged version?
Yeah, you showed me afterward.
Right, it's an enlarged version of what he drew.
Yeah, like he showed me the receipt, and this is exactly what he wrote, or drew and wrote. I don't know any of this at this point. I just know that he's drawing something intense, and that they're talking, he and Johnny are having this confrontation. And then Johnny has to go, and Johnny takes off, and I go back around to see how he's doing, and I'm like, hey, everything okay? And I know something beyond the natural had happened. This is in me. It's obvious. There's no way you jump from that to the all-seeing eye to this intensity in the way that he's behaving. And I still hadn't seen the receipt because Johnny had to leave, and the receipt, he took it with him. I saw it later. So I talked to him, and and it's sort of like he had to shake something off, and then he was back to himself, which is really, at that point I knew what was going on. I mean, it's obvious something had taken over him. It went from his normal self to a very intense, angry being, back to his sort of jovial, but he was kind of out of it. He seemed kind of lucid. I was like, hey bro, I need you to get back. You've been on break for a while. You okay? And he was just like, yeah, okay. And he gets back. So that ends. Of course, immediately I want to go talk to Johnny and see what the heck happened. Like, what did they say? What transpired? And yeah, that night after work, I went and saw him, and this is what he showed me. And I'm just blown away, and you know, that's my perspective. And I asked Johnny what transpired, and you can share what you guys talked about.
Yeah, when he wrote this, he said, "Shield my eyes from the sun, for I know not what lies before me." In a very demonic voice, he said, he handed it to me, he goes, "Do you know what that means?" And I went, no. I was like, I remember I was trying to get some levity into it. I went, no. Should I? And he said, "I'm everywhere you go. I'm all around you." And that day, I went to the health club. People were two guys winked their eye at me. Grocery store, a girl winked her eye at me. Wherever I was going, people were winking their eye at me. Kind of like the guy that said, "I was born in Hawaii."
The demonic manifestation that spoke to Jonathan that day said, "I'm everywhere you go, I'm all around you." And then he proved his point by taking over unsaved people and winking at Jonathan and pointing at him. And this is the all-seeing eye. This is the function of the all-seeing eye. It's the 666 hand sign that we see here, and the Eye of Horus from the ancient Egyptians. It was actually an exact cutout image of what the pineal gland was. That is the spiritual seat of the brain that has been calcified, if you live in America, by fluoride. Fluoride in the water, the number one organ that it has been discovered is that it surrounds this organ and calcifies it and inhibits it. I don't know what else that does, but maybe it lets Satan hack into it, or the fallen angels take over people if they're not washed in the blood of Jesus Christ. I don't know how it works, but there's a reason it's in the water, and there's a reason that it's legally it's poison, and there's no reason for us to be drinking it unless there's some sinister force behind that. But yeah, Lucifer and his angels, they've hacked into the human genome, and that's why Jesus is the only way to fix our flesh, our spirit, and our soul. And here's some scriptures to verify this. That's also why we see this shark picture that this kid drew under the influence of some spiritual force appear a month later in a major Nike advertising campaign for Kobe Bryant. And there's no second guessing who's running the show with this particular ad campaign. They even show that the top of the pyramid is success. That's the all-seeing eye. So he was almost showing himself by sketching it out on a receipt, whatever spirit this was specifically, and then making it manifest in a multi-million-dollar ad campaign. So we have a dingy receipt in a store with a shark coming out of this beast, and then we have it in Nike. So the only explanation for that, either it's the most severe case of coincidence that I've ever seen, or it is actual court admissible proof that there is spiritual happenings going on. This is, to me, shocking. And it should shake you out, shake you awake. And this should jar you. This should really freak you out if you don't have a biblical worldview. The only explanation for this is 1 in a million coincidence. But if you want to know the truth of the nature of what happened, it was a spiritual thing that happened. That Chris gave testimony to. So there you have it. It's on the receipt, it's the shark, it's the all-seeing eye, it's in the Nike ad campaign, it's everywhere. All these commercials, all these actors. I mean, what spirit is running them? What spirit is running you? You need to be born again if you are not, and you need to be washed in the blood of Jesus Christ and baptized by the Holy Spirit. So it'll be like a filter blocker for this spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. That's Ephesians 2:2. The Bible is very clear. What's going on? This is real. This is evidence of Ephesians 2:2. God bless you guys.
So anyway, This is just a witness that gave his account, and that's it. But this same thing has happened to me 4 to 5 times now. 4 to 5 times. One time you can go, wow, that was weird. 4 to 5 times is a pattern. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
And so now I will be presenting those other images that people drew of me and friends of mine, and they did the same exact agenda. Dead sheep, sheep and goats, and serpents eating sheep. It's always the same. And that's how I know to recognize it, because it's what's in the hieroglyph of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. So how could some guy draw a picture of me that has the same agenda as a hieroglyph that's 1,300 years before Christ? That means he's got to be connected to it. And here's the thing, before I got saved, I did the same thing. Because I was connected to it. But that connection got broken when I got saved. That's it. Thank you, Chris.
You bet.
Mm-hmm.